Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for coming. So this is the second internal meetup we run on the series of trying to help teams with tools, mindsets, processes around how they work day to day. Previous one we ran here was with Woody.
Oh, cool. Well. Oh, he's a good friend of mine.
And we already see teams mobbing and really loving it. We even put some candy around the mob stations to nudge even further. So this time we want to talk about flow, making sure you don't do too many things at the same time, starting things that you can finish, and looking at how value flows through the system. And who better to talk about this than Marcus, that I've known for many years. We work together at Abega, a consultancy. Marcus has written books about Kanban. He's been coaching in many places here in Stockholm. He's been working at a hospital in Indonesia, right?
Correct.
Sort of applying these techniques and principles in that setting as well. And you're out with a book soon.
Yes, a couple of weeks out.
So thank you for coming here. We really look forward to learning from you and your experiences. And
thank you so much. So I don't think that I ever got such a free topic before. Mark just contacted me and said, "Can't you come and speak a little bit about flow?" And I published a blog post that relates to that topic. So what I want to do is actually end up in that blog post, because that's about something called flow efficiency, which is a really interesting thing to talk about. But to get there, we need to understand what the whole thing is about. So the title of this session will be Flow and How to Get There. Because I have some experience with some tools that will help you to do that. So I'm Marcus. I work for a consultancy called Aptitude nowadays. Right now I'm contracting as an agile coach at a company called Spotify that I'm sure that you all know. And I will use some examples from them as well. So I have a recipe for success that I'm following basically every day, and I wanted to share that with you. And it's 4 super simple steps. The first one. Start where you are. Can you see that if I write that big? A man walks up to a taxi driver in London and he asks, "How do I get from here to Piccadilly Circus?" And the cabbie responds, "Ooh, that's really tricky. I would not start from here." No, yeah, exactly, but this is where I am, right? That would be stupid to say such a thing. Who would do that? We would do that. Here's how you do that with a process. Okay, Mark, you're the Scrum Master. Fabiana, you're the product owner. You guys, you are the team. No, you're not the DBA, you're the team, okay? So here's the meetings that you're going to run. Here's what you're going to say at the meeting. Anyone done safe? No one has done safe. In fact, here's what you're going to wear at the safe meeting. You're going to wear these hats. Here's the documents you're going to produce. Here's the diagrams. Now we changed everything. You were the DBA, you were not the team. You didn't have that role before. We changed everything now. My recipe for success, I will share the name in the end, that's the big reveal. My recipe for success says start where you are. Do exactly what you're doing right now and improve from that. I only want to make a small improvement every day, not a big improvement like turning everything upside down. This is nice, right? Did you feel the pressure of your shoulders? It's good for that reason, because now we start here. This is not good, but we're going to be better. So that's good. The second is that it makes me feel super powerful, because that means that I can talk to you guys, that I know is awesome, and I know that this will help you become even better, because you start where you are and improve a little bit more. Also, it means that this recipe can actually be applied to whatever you've done. And here's a few places where I applied it. Software development teams, obviously. Call centers. A car company at Åland. I will come back to them later. my kids' TV time, a hospital in Indonesia, you name it. Whatever, you can apply this process. It has nothing to do with what you are doing. This is just meta, how you're doing it. So everyone feels cool and relaxed now. The shoulders are down. We don't need to change anything. We just start where we are, okay? Step 2. This is hard for Swedish people to say, visualize. At least I have a hard problem. I actually had an opportunity to meet a car company in Åland, and I was coaching them on stage. It was a really strange setup, but that was... So they were serving and selling cars. That was what they did. And I asked the question I often ask software teams that I meet. I said to them, how would anyone know if you had double the amount of work doing from one day to another? And their answer was, yeah, well, you would see double the amount of cars in the parking lot. Oh yeah, that's true. Because their things are physical things, right? But our things happens in here. Or maybe sometimes in the computer. So how would you see if I have double the amount of work to do? Any takers? How would we see that?
Like the amount of people on Schibsted.
Yeah, people would run around faster. That's a very common thing I said. My inbox is filled is another one, right? How would anyone know what's the most important thing that you're working on right now? How would you know that?
OKR.
Yeah, you will work on the one OKR, right? How would you know what you are working on?
How I would know that?
Yeah, no, how you would. I hope you would know because you're holding on to it. But how would anyone else know?
Well, Mark would look at the telephone.
Yeah, exactly, right? So this is what we do. Instead of just remembering that, we write stuff down on a little sticky or in a Trello or whatever. I'm going to use physical boards now as example because it's nicer to exemplify with. Nicer in general, I think, but that's my opinion. And there's many, many tools that do this in a beautiful way as well. So here's a nice little exercise. If you're starting a new group using this, go into a room and say this. Everyone, spend 2 minutes, write down everything you do on one sticky each. And then just post it like this. So what you will find very soon, you understand how I'm going to spend the time in this presentation? So it will look something like this, right? Here's what all the things we are doing. And I promise you, this will help you. Here's what will happen. Mark, why are you doing this, Mark? We said that we should not start this. Yeah, I know, but you know, I had some time over, so I started that as well. Okay, yeah. What's this? Fabiana, I'm doing this as well. This is the same thing. Oh, yeah, that's true. It is actually the same thing. And these, I've never heard about this. Why are you doing that? Well, someone asked me to. So, just by putting it up like here on a board in front of our eyes, visualized, we start to make some sense out of what's going on. All of this work happened before. We now just externalized it, took it out of our heads and put it onto a board. And you'd be surprised. I know that you are experienced agile team, so you probably all are doing this already, but you'd be surprised. This is the biggest kick for biggest aha moment for most teams. So if you're going over to finance, for example, you will ask them to do this. They will lose their jaws, I promise you. But this doesn't really help us that much. So let's make some sense out of it. And what we can do very simplified is that we say, let's put everything that we have not yet started here. Is there anything that we have not yet started? Yeah, these two, we have not started them yet. Is there anything that is done? Yeah, this one is done. Oh, Fabiana, we moved these two. This one, are they done? Yeah, we're just checking. No, they are not done. Okay, so they are not done. Perfect. They are almost done. So, and now we can start to make some sense out of what's happening. And actually, if we start to move all of these in here, we can actually see how many things is going on. So let's just call it doing for now. So, but that doesn't really help us, right? Because doing, what do you mean doing? Yeah, let's make some more sense out of it. Let's do, what are we doing with this? What are we waiting for? Yeah, we're waiting for the testers. Okay, so there's some kind of user acceptance testing going on there. Yeah. Oh, in fact, this is also user acceptance testing. Okay, cool. These two. Oh, you know what? I just remembered. There's 3 more things here. So what are these then? Well, we're reviewing them in the team. So it's like review here. And then maybe, let's say code then. So these are review. And then it should be done. What does that mean, really? Let's talk about that later. What does done mean? So now, all of a sudden, it starts to make some sense, right? We could actually become much better than this as well. We could say, is there anything for project B in here? Yeah, sure. That one is project B. That one. Okay. We all know the importance of project B. It should be the most important one, right? Everyone knows that. Okay, so let's put that on top then. So project B always goes on top. Are you sure even this defect? No, you know what? I think defects should go on top actually. Yeah. So now, all of a sudden, we get a lot more information out of this, right? So now when I come in and say, how many things are you working on? It's easy to answer. What's the most important thing? Well, it's on top. We have not changed the thing yet. Remember the first principle. We haven't changed the thing. We're still doing the same things. We just made it visual so we can see it. In this case, we can actually touch it also, which is a nice little extra benefit. Don't change the thing. Make your work vision. No news so far. Now comes the secret sauce. There's no H in here. WEIP. Work in process. So let's play a game. Let's tear down the interior design. So Mark, the sad part of inviting someone to a talk is that you get to be the guy that do all the... And the other sad part of being the only one that whose name I know is that you will be taking part as well. So Mark, I have three... oh, there's one more actually, but you got away this time. I have 3 tasks for you, Mark. So I want you to write the letters A through J in a nice column like this. All right? Using the green pen. Okay, very important. I'll set go. You have a timer on your phone? Yes. Yeah, perfect. And here, this is tricky. Keep your attention up here. This is tricky. I want you to write Roman numbers 1 to decimal, I don't know, 10 using the blue pen, okay? Very important project. Yeah, this is, I mean, obviously you know that this is important, but this is also very important. And here's another one. This is very important. It's the Arabic numbers 1 to 10 in a column like this. However, as you heard from the CEO, these are all super important work. So I want you to work on all of them at the same time, right? To really maximize the utilization of you and ensure progress in all 3 of them, okay? So Fabiana, can you start the timer? And I want you to time when he finished that one, when he finished that one, and when he finished that one. I'll help you. And then, so the last time. So you do like a lap time on your phone, okay? So you understand, I want you to write like this, right? You got it? Fabiana will kick you off. 1. Sorry. Okay, 1, 2, go. Yes, that's good. As fast as possible, please. Yes, I'll... Fast, but also well, if possible, right? Yeah. We're gonna exactly. We're gonna send. Yeah. Yeah. So there's a Q&A. There's a QA in the audience here. We'll talk about that later. Okay. Good. Halfway there, man. So this is something that you can try on your spouses when you get home. They will love it, I promise you. Okay, we're getting there. Please keep the tempo up. 7, and we're going to... Yeah. Yeah.
80% done.
Yeah, 80% done, so it's time for a report, right?
Whatever.
I feel like, sorry about that, that's right. And then, so lap time there, and lap time there. Perfect, thank you, Mark. Hold on to those pens. So how long did it take, please stand to the side so people can see. How long did it take for Mark to finish the first project? Or actually, let's do this before we, how did that feel, Mark?
Stressful.
Stressful, yeah. So I know Mark since a long time ago. You might not, so let me just... I know that he knows the alphabet. But you had to stop here for a couple of times.
Yeah.
Why did you do that? I even heard you like A, B, C, D, E, E.
Context
F.
switching.
Yeah. Okay. So what are these pens in your daily work? What would this represent in your daily work?
Different types of tasks.
Exactly. I mean, we could even go as far to say that it's different types of tools, right? So you're writing a document and then all of a sudden you need to switch over to Excel for some reason. So it could be tiny things like that. But it could also be like, we're in a planning meeting, the red pen, and then someone says, oh, it's time for this other thing. Can you come? And we get interrupted. So let's talk times, hard facts now. Fabiana, how long did it take to complete the first project?
Let me check. 1 minute. Yes, 1 minute and 29 seconds.
29. Number 2?
2 and 34.
1 minute. So 2:34 seconds more, right?
Yes.
So that's 1:31. Yeah, and the last one?
3 and 13 seconds more.
So 1:34. So 1:34 for all. Okay, so I'm truly sorry about this because I was messing with you. So it actually turns out that this project, I can borrow those pens, this first project, it's the most important thing. It's truly important. It's OKR number 1. This is also important, but not as all important as this. This last one, that was just for me, actually. So I was wondering if you could do that again. But this time, let me see if I remember it now. Yeah. This time, do it one thing at a time, please. So do that, and then when you're done with that, do this. Okay, Fabiana, you do the same thing. You stop, take a time for this, time for that, time for that. Okay. 1, 2, 3, go. Done. 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 Thank you. How did that feel?
Easier.
Easier. You didn't stop here and like
No.
F, G, and then you, no?
No context switch.
No, yeah.
I was in the mode.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear. If you just listen, you will also hear this. In the first round, you will hear and in the second round, especially for numbers, for some reason, it's... That's the sound of value, my friends. Okay? So, yes, please sit down. He's worth a round of applause, right? Well done. Stressful job. So, what do you think about quality? Are you happy with quality if we compare it? It's not worse, at least.
I think my handwriting is prettier.
I mean, this is faster, so it's a little bit, maybe a little bit sloppier. But we had nothing of this that you used the wrong pen, right?
No.
No. Did you correct yourself here? No. So there's consistency in the errors as well. Okay. Yeah, but they are these are equally spaced and sized, right? Easier to do that as well, of course. Okay, so I'm not going to hold you on the stretcher anymore. The time for the first one?
The time for the first one was 1:39.
It should be something like 10.
7:26.
Yeah, so like that.
007. Still.
Okay, so the same thing. That's done after
Yes.
after 14.
And then plus 139.
139. How do you mean? 13. It should be something like 5 or 6 seconds more. It's not. Let's.
It was 7.97.
The last one.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's 21.
The first one was 6.6. The second one was 12.6. The third one.
We got it close enough. Close enough. So there's something strange here, right? Let's compare these numbers. So let's just stop for a while here. I mean, this is a simulation, but let's just make the facts clear. It's the same mark, the same pens, the same paper, and the same amount of work. You agree?
Yes.
So something changed. We are doing it in like a third of the time. What changed?
We have the experience.
Do you think that would have helped him here? No. But that's actually a good point, because very often when I see people that learn after a while, they would, for example, if we have told you, hey, Mark, it's 1V, no one did, that was mean. Yeah. But if we have told you that, you would actually have made it correct. So, good point. Thank you. Good point. Learning has taken place. The only difference, this is a simulation, so it's like down to the one thing only. The only difference here is actually that Mark is doing one thing at a time. That's the only difference. So that is pretty good. I mean, I would pay for that any day. But the thing that is mind-blowing to me is 129 compared to 007. Now, I was really mean to you, because I didn't say to you that this is actually the most important thing. But in this case, we have punished this project by doing the other two at the same time. And not only a little, quite extensively, actually. So by doing fewer things at the same time, they will be done faster. It's quite natural when you think about it, but it's interesting to experience it as well. So there's another thing that I want to note here, and I actually played a little trick on myself once. Where's the corks for these? Here. Gonna save the pens. So because we had some time over at one client, so we thought that we're going to test some new things. So what would happen if I were to outsource this pen to you? So I said, Mark, if you need a red pen, you have to go over to Rudolf and get it. What would have happened here? Bad. In the words of Donald Trump, sad. Right? That's not good. What would have happened in this case? And that's quite all right. In fact, there's a nice little thing here that we don't have in the first place. Because between these, we have an opportunity to choose again, to reprioritize. The problem with this setup is namely that nothing is done until everything is done. So it's not until here that we can say, okay, now I can take on something else. In this opportunity, when Mark gets here, he could say, hey, Rudolf, is now a good time to borrow the red pen? Yeah, I need it. And then he would do that now, and then you would say, nah, I need it again, but that's another story, right? Right? So that's an opportunity that presents itself that we didn't have here. Also only related to the fact that we are doing fewer things at the same time. And one time I was really mean, and I told to myself, I've never subjected anyone to this, but I told a friend of mine, when I got here to the 5, you throw me another project. Yeah, so he said, hey, Marcus, I want you to do this, and he was super mean, so he said, I want you to do 10 to 1 here with a black pen. What do you think happened in this case? My head was exploding. It was like, okay, so now it's 1 there when I'm writing in G, and then 6Y, and that goes up. It's super complicated here, just by adding 1 more project. In this case, I was like, yeah, you know what? Hold on 3 seconds, and then I just pick that one up if you want to. Because now you have an opportunity here to choose. I can do this in just 4 or 5 seconds if you want me to. So we got the flexibility there. That property of being able to re-choose there, that's known as business agility. And that comes from us doing smaller things, complete them, and fewer things at the same time. Rudolf, will you hold on to that pen if Mark needs it? Yeah. So there we go. I'm leaving that there as a testament. Yeah. No. So how can we limit WIP here? Limit work in process. What is work in process here? How many things are in process here?
All the ones that are not to do or done.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We count as 1. Actually, I'm doing this, so now. 1, 2, 3, 6, 8. Right? 8 things are in progress. Is that a lot?
How many people in the team?
Hey, who knows? This is how I make my money. It depends. I just say that every day, and then they pay me. No, but you can't really say that. There's a few rules of thumbs that I wanted to share with you. And the first one is this. If WIP... where am I going to write this? I'm going to write it here, maybe. No, it will be here. If WIP is too high, work is idle. Sorry. I can't do this. I'm doing this. I went the wrong way. If WIP is too low, work is idle. Is that correct? No. Workers is idle. Sorry, I should not have. So that means, then you will hear this in the morning meetings. I have nothing to do now. How often does that happen? It happens. This is a great signal. Now we have a chance to improve flow. That's not bad. Slack is not a bad thing. It's unfortunate that it's been confused with slacking, which is maybe a bad thing. If WIP is too high, then work is idle. Then this will happen. What about this one? I didn't have time to work on that yesterday. If you hear that, then your WIP is probably too high. People don't have time to go around finding work. People never get to that work. And the simplest rule I know to get there is to adopt this mindset. Stop starting, start finishing. Meaning our focus is to, once we start work, we want to finish work as fast as possible. Another little saying that's been floating around in our office right now is this, which is really stupid when you say it out loud, but it's apparently something to think about. It's not the more we start, the more we finish. It's the more we finish, the more we finish. But I have said that to people that says, what about this one? Yeah, I'm blocked. Okay, start something else. Okay, start something else. Good, good. What about this one? I'm blocked. Okay, start something else. Okay. How long do you want me to go on? So, when this happens, remember that that would be me adding a project here. Whoa. So now we're adding project here. If you go to an ordinary non-agile work environment and ask them how many things they are doing, it's extremely seldom that I hear that they are doing 3 things. Most likely they are doing 5 to 10 things. How much progress do you think they have on these? And the only reason for them having that progress is that they have too many things going on at the same time. It's impossible to be effective. So, when you have, I don't know what to do now, the first thing you should do is not to start something new. Avoid starting new things to all costs. And start here and say, can I help this one to flow? Yeah, in fact I can. I can go over there and help them to UAT test this. Okay, awesome. Can I help this one? Nah, not really. This one? Yeah. And if you come all the way here and say, no, I can't do anything of them, then do nothing. Do something that you think might help us later, or learn something, or avoid to add stuff. Don't add projects to your board. This will help you and give you a better life. Okay, so don't change the thing. Make your work visual in front of you. Have a limit. Lower is better. 1 is not necessarily the answer, although we'll come to that. Have a limit. But we still haven't changed a thing here.
Just need some clarification.
Go.
You did say that, well, if you go through everything in progress and you find nothing you can work on, don't pick up something new, go do something else. Fine, I understand that. But at the same time, you wrote, if it's too low, workers idle. Too low indicates maybe it's time to raise the weight.
Could be. Absolutely, good point. Also, you brushed on something else. We'll come back to this several times, but you brushed on something else because I said picked up something else. Okay, so now you picked something up. Yeah, so pick something up that you can put down. My team that I'm coaching right now, we have created a little list of tasks like that, and the rule for those tasks is that they cannot take longer than 30 minutes to complete. So who's developer? Any developers in here? Okay, perfect. So here's one thing that they do. Add a unit test. One task. Add a unit test. Somewhere in the code base. Run linting and fix the first 5 errors. Speed up build script. In stuff that will probably help us but has no tangible value. So that's good candidates. Your question was something else, though.
No, it was like a slight contradiction in don't add more work, but at the same time, you said, with no workers are.
Okay, yeah. So, okay, good.
I mean, I understand what you're saying.
No, but it's a really good point. So you meaning if we're idle all the time?
Well, I want to kind of understand when is it okay to raise the weight?
Good.
Because it obviously can be too low. I can take if it really only one thing.
Yeah.
And then we're
No, let's take that as an example. Actually, a really good point. What if we had only one thing in progress? The whole team had one thing in progress. What kind of team is that?
Mobbing.
Yeah, exactly. Mob programming team. Okay, but we say the whole team has only one thing in progress and that gets blocked. We cannot continue work. Now it's obviously time to take on something else and raise the whip. Absolutely. So if we end up having a situation where we are blocking ourselves or get stuck all the time. So I think the mindset should be moving away, and we'll actually get there in just a second, but moving away from are you working to are these flowing?
Can I ask
Go.
one additional question? Because doesn't it also have to do a lot with how you phrase your tasks? Like if you phrase it like from the point of view as something you want to have achieved in general, versus task X, Y, and Z for iOS, Android, and web.
Write database script. Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. So absolutely, you can phrase the task so that you easily get blocked or not, right?
Exactly.
So that will. Can you hold on to that question for just a minute, and we'll get back to it. I promise you, it's a really good question.
I'm not even sure what the question is, but if the answer is, let's just choose width equal 1, and if you're not mob-programming, you're doing it the wrong way.
It's not. It's not. Yeah, it's not. No, here's a nice little saying that I read. There was a. No, I can't do this without doing the next step. I'll get back to you. I promise you. Okay. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. Because right now we have still not changed anything. We're just working exactly as we are. We made it visual and we put in some limits on how many things we have. I didn't even say a low limit, right? I mean, lower is better, but it could be any limit. So, shouldn't we change anything? Here comes the thing. Manage for flow. So, don't change a thing, don't change a thing, don't change a thing. Change everything you are doing from now on until the end of time. But in tiny, tiny, tiny steps, the smallest you can come up with. And in order to explain this, I need to explain what lean is. And luckily for you, I will steal this from someone that knows stuff like this better. Where's my red? Oh, you had it. I knew that would. Yeah, I knew this would cause problem. So there's an excellent little book by two Swedish guys actually called "This Is Lean." They are called Per Åhlström and Niklas Modig. Have you read it? It's awesome. Get it. 90 pages, and I will summarize 83 of them now. So in that book, they make a distinction between resource utilization. And I'm going to use a personal example here. So let's see if I can draw this. About a year ago, no, a little more than a year ago, in February, I woke up one morning, I had severe toothache. So I went to the dentist and they said, oh, that's an old root canal job that you've done that's gone bad. It was not properly done. You did it 2 years ago. You need to fix it. This is, and I was like in pain. So I had antibiotics and painkillers. So I said, oh yeah, let's do it now. Fix it. And they said, no, that's a little bit tricky because you have a crown on top of your tooth, so we need to drill through the crown, and that can only be done under a microscope. And Folktandvården, the Swedish governmental dentist, they only have one microscope like that in Stockholm. Okay, that's Torbjörn. Call Torbjörn, he will help you. So I called Torbjörn. I said, Torbjörn, I'm in pain. Can you help me? Yeah, sure, no worries. This is easy. I'm doing this all the time, so I'll help you. So let's see. Today is February the 2nd. My next available slot is flippa. May 14th. How's that? I was on painkillers for 3 months. Why did they do that to me? In this instance, I actually know.
Probably the microscope is very expensive.
So you cut straight to the chase. But you're onto something. I come to Torbjörn's office and I'm struck by that he has a secretary, and all she's doing is every time someone calls, she said, oh, you can't come? Okay, thank you. And then she starts to call the next person on the list. It happened twice when I was there. I was there for 3 treatments. So twice when I was there, she started to call. Can you come? No? Rudolf, can you come? If you come today, you will get half price.
Yeah.
So all she was doing was packing Torbjörn's schedule full. And then, since I'm a geek, I went into Torbjörn and I asked him about this, and he said, yeah, that's needed because if we have 1 hour a day not booked, We ran at a loss that day. So the whole system was set up in order to keep Torbjörn busy, drilling teeth. that was value. Right? Okay. So other examples of this would be like a melting plant or something like that. It's super, you need to bring it up to high degrees of heat. So you will not turn it off because then the production will be hold for a very long time. So scoring high here is when we want to keep our resources utilized to the maximum. So let's move down to the other corner where we have flow. Okay. Flow efficiency. Scoring super high on flow efficiency is the fire department. What does the fire department do when they don't put out fires?
I think they're playing floorball a lot.
Sitting around waiting. Yeah, exactly. No, exactly that, right? I actually cracked this joke once when there was a fireman in the audience. If you're going to upset someone, don't upset a fireman, okay? No, they are training. They are fixing their equipment. Basically doing many lower prioritized work items. Taking photos, all those things. However, everything they do can be put down if a fire comes. And there's another interesting aspect to the fire department, and it's this. We have many, many more firemen than is needed to put out all the fires that is happening now. An enormous overcapacity of firemen. And we are all super happy to pay for that. Why? Because we don't want to call them and they're like, yeah, you know what, Friday around 3, is that okay? No. They have to be able to go whenever we call them, even, this is interesting, even when they just left. There's a super elaborative system of fire departments taking over duties from each other so that they can go even if they just left. Not far from here is Comhem, which is a TV provider, and they have something that monitoring all their TV channels. I've been to that place. It's about 20 people sitting like this. And if there's a problem, 3 of them goes there, and the other 17 is here. So the best day, they don't do anything. Then they have a flawless day. Okay? All right, so this is a 4-fielder, as you see, so let's fill out the rest of the places. Here's the desert. So no one has anything to do, no work gets done. I think I worked there, actually. Yeah. And over here is Nirvana, which is what Toyota calls one-piece continuous flow. One-piece continuous flow is how they describe their production vision. That means that from the moment someone says, I want another Lexus, at that point in time, it's only value-adding activities through the entire waiting chain. No wait time, process chains, no wait time, no handovers. It's just like more and more value. Imagine like a toothpaste tube for cars. Only value, right? That didn't come out right. All right. So, like a funny side effect, I can now define what lean is. Lean, this is a formal definition, so you have to be careful. Lean is a business strategy. Important. It has nothing to do with technology or IT or anything. It's a business strategy. It's a strategy, meaning that it's something that we think is better than something else. We don't know it. We think it's better. Lean is a business strategy trying to get us here, where these are in perfect balance. Lean is a business strategy trying to get us here this route by focusing on flow efficiency. So what does that mean? Maybe we can use your question as example, but it means that I am not particularly interested in if you are working or not. I'm interested in that these flows across the board. I'm interested in that the lead time, the time from I'm picking this up, or actually from it's put here, until it goes all the way here, I'm interested in keeping that low. How? Hey, I don't know. That's up to you guys. Why is mob programming? Let's plot out mob programming here. It's not the solution to all problems in the world, but most of them. Right? So
Can you just clarify for those who didn't attend the previous meeting?
yeah, mob programming. Anyone knows? Okay. So here's the thing. Mob programming means all the team, 4 or 5 people, 1 keyboard, 1 screen. We take turns rotating. That's all of mob programming. Woody will hate me now. So let's plot in mob programming here. Anyone not Swedish in here? Okay, perfect. Swedish is a very limited language. So describing mob programming in Swedish, I actually heard someone said this. That doesn't sound effective. And I said, no, it's not. It's very effective. So we don't distinguish between these 2 words. Because it's not efficient. We are not using our resources. Everyone is not typing. But it's super effective. Why? Because if you have any question, all the other people are not only in the room, they are also focused on the same task as you. But we don't have role X. We don't have the product owner in the mob. How's that working out for you? Is that better for flow? It's not. No, that's like outsourcing the pen to Rudolf. So now, here how I'm using flow as a driver for improving our process. So is that better for flow? Yeah, that's the question, right? Going back to this again, Toyota, this is their production vision. We want one-piece continuous flow. So if someone said, we should limit the number of things we are doing here. Yeah, let me tell you a story about Toyota, by the way, about whip limits, how they use it. Because whip limits, to your point, is just a tool. And the sad part is that we don't know what a suitable whip limit is. That's one of the most common questions I get. People say, oh, we're a team of 6 people, what's the best whip limit? I don't know. To me, the whip limit is like a volume dial of improvements. The lower you put it, the more focus on improvements. The man that invented Kanban for software development, he is called David Anderson, and he calls this, how much pain do you want to inflict on the organization? The good news is that we hold the dial, right? So if we have it super low, then there will be a lot of pain. So if we put it to 1 and we've experienced a blockage, total stop, nothing gets produced. Is that okay? No, in most cases, to your point, it's not okay. So the process cannot sustain such a low whip limit. It has to be a little bit higher. Let me tell you how Toyota is using whip limits. So imagine that I'm working at Toyota. You will now understand how little I know about cars. So I'm mounting doors on a car. So I have a pallet here of doors, 10 doors. And then I pick one door up and I mount it, and then I pick the next door up and I mount it. And when I take the 6th door and I mount that and I turn back, then there's a little card on the 6th door. That's a Kanban card. And the card says, go to Mark that makes doors and says, make 10 more. Okay, Mark, can you make 10 more doors? Thank you. And I go back and I take the 5th door and I mount it. And I take the last door on the pallet and I mount it, and then magic happens and I turn around and Mark comes with 10 doors. It's a perfect system. It's perfectly balanced. So in this factory, now someone like me in Toyota would come. In Toyota, they are called lean sansei. I would so much want to be a lean sansei. So he would come and he would say something like, how's it going? Yeah, it's perfect. So we're working with 10 doors here, so we have a whip limit of 10, and it's so beautiful because when I take the last, and everything is working super good. Okay, great. So now it's 8. So it was perfect, and they changed it. They brought it down. No, don't do 8. Please, that will be horrible, because that means that after 4 doors I would go over to Mark and, yeah, if you do that, I need to produce doors faster and I need to call my suppliers. Yeah. And the Sansei would like just, yes, exactly. Call me when you fix this, and I'll come by and I'll lower the whip limit again. And they would say, no, we can't do that. This is it's regulated by laws and everything. And he will like, that's why I want to be that. If we go say, yeah. He will just say, yeah, good. You can't argue. Remember, this is our goal. What does this mean? This means that it doesn't mean that there's one car in the entire factory, but it means that there's absolutely no waiting time for anything in the factory. So it would mean that I would work with 1 door. I have a friend that works for Scania, and he was in Brazil when they started a new factory there. And that factory has such a low whip limit that if a new truck doesn't pass the gate every 30 seconds, they are in trouble. Because they keep inventory to a very, very low minimum. So they need to restock continuously. So in a way, when this happens, when he lowers the whip limit, we will run into problems. So how is this going to work out? And that's what they want. That's the volume dial. But if we turn it all the way down, we will be totally stuck in the entire factory. So then it's too low and every worker will be idle. So the trick here is to experiment. Have I basically... Yeah. Okay, thanks. I'll give you one more. Here's a good way to find a whip limit. Step 1, today. How many do we have today? 8. Perfect. Step 2, double. So now we set the whip limit to 16. Hey, everything works. We can just bring in new work here. Yeah, exactly. One caveat though. If you double it, then every week minus 10%. So every week we will take back, let's not make it complicated, every week minus 2. So on Fridays, we lower the whip limit with 2. For how long? Until it hurts. So until like everything on the board is blocked, or we feel like, this is not really working out as it's supposed to. Like, okay, good. Then we can bring it up a little bit so that we're not dying. But now we found our whip limit. From that point on, let's work to improve the flow even further so that we can get a lower whip limit. Lower is better. With a lower whip limit, each thing will move faster. Anyone has an idea on how we could improve here, by the way?
Reducing the number from 10 to 8 or something.
Exactly. How about, let's deliver that part. Is that value? Maybe. Or maybe not. If it's not, maybe we learn something on the way. So let's do it after 5 and maybe we learn something here. Hey, that green pen is really sucky. Do you want to know that after 5 letters or after 10? Okay. So, Mark, this was the introduction to, to what I wanted to talk about. Because now I wanted to introduce you to some of the metrics that we can use here.
Sorry, I just have a
go.
question. Could you clarify why the way, from the cactus to the asterisk goes through the fire brigade and not through the two?
Oh, good.
From the pain?
Yeah, good point. So let's be fully compliant here and write this is lean. That's the name of the book. This is my recipe for success. It's called Kanban. So before I answer your question, Kanban is not a process. Okay? You can't say I did Scrum before, now I'm doing Kanban. It's not English. Because Kanban is a process improvement tool. You can apply this to any tool you're doing. If you're doing Scrum, this would be a perfect fit. if you're doing old school waterfall, this will be a perfect fit. If you do, I have no idea what we call it. That's a perfect fit. So this is a process improvement tool. This is all of Kanban. How we got to 386 pages together, I have no idea. So your question was, why did we take that route? Good point. There's another route. There's many other routes, but another route would be to go this way, right? So I once actually drew this in front of an audience when the author of This Is Lean was in the audience, Niklas Modig, and at this point he interrupted me. Yeah, so I was super nervous, and he said, but he had actually an additional point which I think made a lot of sense. He said, imagine that you succeed here. Imagine that you get 100% utilization of you. What kind of situation do we have now? We have this situation. You can't answer a single question. You don't have time to learn. You cannot attend to your customers' needs. And there's absolutely no chance that we can change anything. So, striving for 100% resource utilization is not a good idea. However, I'm not going to bash people here, but if we imagine a very old school project manager, we could bash that person because they most likely don't exist. Have you ever been in this situation? So how much are you in this project? Oh, 40%. Okay, good. So that means that we can use you. Could you do 30% in project C, and then 5 in project B, and then maybe if you have time over, you just maintain A and D. Okay? Anyone done that? Anyone said that? Yeah. So I'll tell you something even worse that I've said many, many, many times. Anyone been Scrum Master? Okay. What are the 3 Scrum questions? Yeah? You remember them? Who are they focusing at? Yeah. And then I did 100% of the time when I was a Scrum Master, I did it once everyone gone through and we focused on the individuals. I did this. Okay, everyone, is there anyone that doesn't have anything to do? What am I focusing on now? Keeping people busy. Here's the thing. I don't care. Let me tell you about someone else that doesn't care. This person here. The customer. The one that wants value. No one here has a product because that company is working with Scrum. You're not using iPhone because they are working lean. I mean, you would probably not use iPhone if they were beating people up. I get that, but we are not picking the product depending on how they work. I don't care. I care about you guys. You're nice, and I want you to be treated nicely, but I don't care how you're working. That's up to you. Do whatever you need to do in order to make the value flow faster. Scania CEO Leif Östling, he's been under some pressure now lately and said some stupid things, but he's a great lean leader. And he said this is a really good quote. The customer doesn't care how we are organized. No, exactly. In fact, I get annoyed when I call and I say, I have a problem. And say, oh, you should call the lending department. This is just, I don't care. I just want value, right? Okay, so let's see how we can use some of the metrics that we have in place, and also some of the tools that we now have here in order to improve flow. And one of the really nice tools that we can use is to shift these Scrum questions from focusing on the individuals to focusing on the items on the board. So here's how you do that. It's super complicated. What's hindering this from being in production today? What's hindering this from being in production today? This one? Anything blocking this from flowing? This one? This one? This one? This one? The biggest team I ever had, we were 40 people in one team. We had this daily stand-up where we asked that question for every sticky on the note. It was over in 5 minutes every day. If there's anything hindering flow, it was like, this one, oh, it's hindering flow. Who do you need to solve it? Fabiana and Rudolf. Okay, you three, meet afterwards, discuss this. Next. Now I'm not discussing anything about who is doing this. I don't care about that. I want the stuff to be done fast. Because that's the value we're after. And speaking of, let's stop planning. Or let me be a little bit more political correct and say let's stop planning just in case. Do you do sprint planning? How often do you sprint plan? Every 2 weeks, okay. Have you ever sprint planned and you had stuff spilling over from the sprint before?
Never.
No? Okay. That's planning just in case. Okay. So a very simple thing that we can do is to put a WIP limit on the to-do column and said there can only be 6 things in the to-do column. And then we put something called an order point here after 3. So this is how it plays out. We are working. Oh, time to get more work. So Mark, will you call the product owner while I clean this up here? There. So we have room for 3 more. So which one do you want? And then we pull. See how we pull new work in there? Rather than push new work in there. So this is, I was thinking about having a slide because I only want to show one picture. It's my favorite picture on the entire internet. And it's easy for you to find. Getting your hopes up here. So, but I will do it like this. Camera. Here's the picture. Okay. If you search for donkey in the air, you will find it. So, how much value gets delivered?
A lot of amusement.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it depends on your definition of value. Yeah. So, what's I got so many stupid answers to this question. So, what's the cheapest way to solve this problem?
Bigger donkey.
I told you. Thank you for playing, sorry. Yeah, okay. So I was after taking bags off.
I was
Right.
thinking leverage. If you had a really
Longer, yeah, sure. But that is also more expensive. Bigger donkey is also more expensive than taking stuff off. Yeah. More runs, yeah, exactly. Smaller. So let's say, now that I'm among you, let's say that we take bags off. Which bags?
Top one.
Why?
Well, the top one. The one that are easier to take off, so top and back.
How about this one that is most valuable?
Okay.
We should, right? We should leave the ones on the bag with most value now, right? So now all of a sudden we're starting to prioritize based on value. Why did we end up in that place all of a sudden? Because we are focusing on flow. This is not moving, we need to get it moving, and then we need to plan to the capacity of the donkey. This is a way to plan of the capacity. So we'll get back to that picture for a while. Here's the thing. If you have a product owner, they are in charge of this part. PO. Team, we are in charge of this. Team, you are the donkey. And so it's easy to laugh about this. I lived in a country where this happens quite a lot. It's easy to laugh about this, but there's some serious things behind this as well. Team, you're the donkey. I want you to give me a WIP limit that is low enough that you can keep doing the value forever. That's one bad thing about Scrum. I don't like the word sprint. This is not a sprint. we had some long distance runners here, right? So this is a marathon. I want you to be able to take on a load that you can carry for a very, very long time. So don't give me the maximum. If you're rushing through, you will not be able to go as long. Maybe you, I don't know. So here's the thing, Usain Bolt, days when they compete, if they do 2 races, they have an extra day of rest in between. 2 100-meter races. So why is this important? Because otherwise we will kill the donkey. And I've seen that too many times in our industries to recommend it. This is the burnout. And I don't want anyone in this room to suffer from that. So please, team, have a limit here that is low enough that you can do this for a long time. Do you know how they solve this problem? In a cheap way? Not getting the donkey and everything?
Put more weights on the donkey.
Yeah. Put more bags on the donkey. What happens with the donkey in that case?
Kind of burn it out.
Yeah, you kill it really fast and then you get a new one. We would never do that to humans, right? This is what you do to humans when they cannot say that enough is enough. So, as it says somewhere, a word is enough for the wise, right? So, team, you're in charge of this part. PO, you're in charge of this. You own the priority and how many things you want. If you want 300 things in there, please go ahead. It's stupid, but please go ahead. We'll call you when we need 3 more. 3? Why 3? Well, that's how long it takes for us to have a meeting to do 3. Oh, no, we need to fly someone in from New York. And okay, so we should have 15 then. So I don't know what's a good limit here. We'll need to find something. If the PO is next to us, why is this better than 6?
It's a lower number, no respect.
No, thank you. So here's your money. No, but why?
Well, the P then gets the opportunity more often to...
Exactly. More of these. More agility. More opportunity to learn faster. I'm convinced that the person that learns the business that learns faster win.
But that would require the PM to actually work.
Yeah. They are hard-working individuals. So here's the thing. I'm working with a group of project managers that have no schooling like this, and I'm so sad to see them work themselves to death. Sometimes almost literally. And what are they doing? They are taking on more and more work. They are working extremely consciously to increase the WIP. So, and I see them push their teams, like, take on more work.
I was joking, of course, because
Yeah.
PMs are hard to get hold of, and if we get the limits down to 1, you will have to nag them all the time doing something else.
Exactly. So now this is interesting. Let's do this as a little lean.
To change a little.
Would that be better? Yeah, it would, right?
Yeah.
So, and then if I was working here, I would ask you this: what's the smallest thing we can try to see if that would be better? Let's try. So instead of 10, let's try 8. Then we'll have a little bit more, and then after a while, they will say like, "Hey, you know what? I can't be here all the time." All right, so maybe if you give us some kind of indication of the value you want instead, and we'll make up the tasks, or is that okay? Yeah, sure, do. See? So by lowering the WIP limit will force us to find new ways of working faster, to flow value in a better way. Why did I take all of those away? I want to introduce you to some metrics now that I've been talking about. This is one of my favorite ones. It's called Disneyland wait times. Have you been to an amusement park the last couple of years? So when you're in a line there, after a while, you will pass a sign that says, from this point, it's 30 minutes to until the ride. How do they know that?
They got constant throughput.
They measured, right? It's easy. Not constant, but very, very regular. Yeah. So, yeah, we measured. So we can easily do that as well. When you put something in here, it will take 14 days until it's here. When you come here, it's only 8 days left. And I see in your eyes that you don't believe me, so here's how you do it. First of all, we can do you estimate here? Estimates? Small, medium, large? So what is small, what's medium, what's large?
In my team is up to 2 days small, up to 2 weeks medium, admin else.
Can I suggest that you try something else?
Absolutely.
So this is very common that people, we say like small, 2 days, just what you said, right? So I would recommend to do something like this. Take a bunch of stickies or items and then just put anything on the board. And then take the next one and say, is this smaller or bigger? Yeah, obviously bigger, okay. This one? Yeah, this is tiny. Oh, okay. And then we'll just plot them out like this. And we now get a nice little row here of, this doesn't take very long, 5 minutes. Now we can do this. Done. How big is it? Yeah, I have no idea. So let's start to track that. And we say a small usually takes 1 to 4 days. A medium usually takes 2 to 6 days. A large usually takes 4 to 128 days. And we can do an average also if we want to. This is how many items we counted. Would you trust this data?
If the team is constant.
You can't trust this data. There's too little data. Would you trust it now? Ah! It's better, right? Where's the estimate? This is, as you said, this is data. We're just tracking it out of the system. We made some initial estimation, absolutely. So I'm not here propagating for no estimates at all, but very simple estimate. But we don't need to say how big the estimate is in the beginning, and we can get some pretty accurate data here by just gathering information here. This is known as lead time from here to here. And if you're going to be super correct, it's actually cycle time. So lead time is from the ID to production. In Toyota terms, since they are the inventors of lean, it would be from the moment someone placed the order until we collect the cash. Famously said by Taiichi Ono that invented Toyota production system. So it's the whole process. This might only be a part of the process. For example, what happens before to do? Maybe there's stuff happening here, right? So this is lead time. Another thing would be, oh, this is getting really messy now, sorry about that. But another thing to track would be throughput. And throughput is super easy to track because then we're just counting the number of items in the done column every week. So that's saying each week we produce 3 small, 4, 2 medium and 1 large. We know that because we counted 1 week. Okay, more data please. Yeah, we know that because now we counted 36 weeks. And then you said something super interesting. We'll get back to that. So, Yeah, let's do that now actually. We know that because the team is also being constant. So if I'm like shifting the team altogether, then it's a new team.
Yeah, and I've been doing this, but then the team changed a lot.
Yeah, so start over.
Restart.
Yeah, start
all
over.
the time. Gets
So, and then, yeah, I mean, that's the data we have. I much rather have data than estimates anyway, so yeah, because
still
estimate,
might be better.
yeah. I mean, that's what we have, so just keep tracking it. All right, so now we come to the diagram. Flow efficiency. Now this makes sense to you, I hope, after all of this talk about flow, because flow efficiency measures how much of the time that we have been, how much of the lead time has been actual work. And here's a nice little way of drawing that. So most processes that I've come across that is not optimized for flow, they look something like this. You understand? Anyone worked in such a situation? Yeah. So we are working in such instance now where all of these working places are different departments. So someone does some work and then it's us and then someone should test it and then there's someone else that should check it and then it's done. And then they said to me, it's too slow. So you guys need to work faster. So here's a bunch of money. Please bring in 5 new consultants. And I drew this on the board and I say, thank you very much. You made us so much faster now. Now we're only like that. We're 50% faster. See? That's only, so woo! That's not the problem, right? The problem is this. How do you eliminate wait time? Get them together. They don't need to work 100% of the time here. So at this point, someone said to me something that stumped me for a while because he said, oh, that's a stupid diagram. No one would ever be idle. So I didn't really understand what he meant, but he meant, of course, that if I have no work to do, I will pick something else up. Yes, exactly the problem. Because this is not a diagram of people, it's the diagram of work. Because now we shifted our mindset, right, to flow. And at this point I realized that the mindset shift from resource utilization to flow is the fundamental one for agile work. That's what it's all about, actually. Meaning that I actually don't care how much you are typing. It's not the more we type, the faster we are, right? We're not selling keystrokes per minute. We're selling something, value in production, right? In fact, that's why I started. What does done even mean? Whoa. You had Woody here, right? So did he use this phrase, working software used by users? Right? And I mean, you are an internet-based company. You're doing A/B testing. Who never heard about A/B testing? Right. So this is stupid. Why do we do more than one version of the feature? Why?
To get data.
So why didn't we do it correct the first time?
Because you never know.
Exactly. We have no clue. No one knows what's going to work best. There's an awesome article about how Obama raised money for his second. Have you read that? If you search for Obama and A/B testing, there's a great article about that. He raised like $35 million more by choosing the right picture with the right text. Why? I have no idea. It just worked better. No one knows. The one that learns the fastest will win. So how would you track flow efficiency like this? That is a little bit trickier to track actually, because tracking lead time and throughput, that's super easy. You just count the stickies on the board. That's like very, very easy. Flow efficiency, then you have to have some kind of notion about this, this is now blocked. And a simple way of doing that is to just block it somehow. And then count how many days it's been blocked. So in fact, what I usually do is that I don't allow my team. Do you have block column on your boards? Blocked?
Yeah.
Oh, don't do that. And you normalize the block as part of the flow. I once was at a company. They had a Kanban board. I helped them to set it up. It was 40 columns wide.
40?
Yep. Oh. Yes. And every other column, I shit you not, every other column was waiting for. And in those columns, we had about 90% of the work. So it was like, waiting for, waiting for, and so waiting for. So I was like, whoa, what's going on? So I just picked something up and I said, what is this? Yeah, that was like 6 months ago. They called us and they said that they really wanted this. So, are we still doing this? Yeah, he has not responded yet, so it's better to keep it on the board. So I was like, no way, man. So we just took everything down that was older than 3 weeks, and then we shrunk the entire board. Blocked is not a normal state. Blocked is a state that can help us to improve. So here's what I usually do. Rather than putting a sticky up like this, I put another sticky on top. If you have these small ones, it's a really good idea. And we say, so this one is now blocked. What is it? What are we waiting for? Oh, so we're waiting for, okay, okay, jag fattar. Yeah, so this is what we're waiting for. Waiting for Rudolf? Yeah. Is everyone doing that?
All the time.
Sir, I feel so sorry for you. So what's a reasonable amount of days to wait here for Rudolf? I mean, we understand that he cannot do that instantly. So let's say this, let's wait for a couple of days. We'll wait for a week, and then every morning we'll just do. Should we call, no, we should not call Rudolf yet. No. Oh, today we should call Rudolf. How's that pink sticky going? These, the blockage here, they are nuggets of gold for process improvements. So remember that big team I told you about with the 40 people? We basically only talked about stuff that stood out. So for example, stuff that was blocked, if we were above our whip limit, it was NA sticky with no face on. Stuff that was like not normal. So please don't make block normal, because then you will have blocked in your process. And we don't want that. We want a fast flow through the entire process. So I'm just checking. I think we're through what I wanted to talk about, and we're about right on time. So I'll wrap it. Kanban is a super simple process improvement tool. It will help you tomorrow or today, depending on when you start using it. It's really easy to get started because you start exactly where you are. If you're doing hardcore ninja agile stuff, go ahead. If you're doing old school waterfall 6 months projects, please go ahead. This will help you. Start by making your work visual so you can see what's going on. Don't change anything, make it visual. So please keep the block column in. Right?
I'll let you, summarize.
Yeah, okay. There will be time for questions. Put a limit of work in. This is the most common problem. If people have been working with iterations like Scrum, then that's our whip limit, right? 2 weeks. 2 weeks worth of work. That's our whip limit. When you move to like a flow-based iteration, instead, flow-based process instead, we say, lovely, no limits. Don't do that. That would be like having a never-ending schedule like this, or a sprint with no end date. So put a whip limit in. If you don't have any, just count the number of stickies on the board today and just start to make it lower. Then manage for better flow of work. Shift your thinking from keeping people busy to keep stickies flowing. That's basically the whole thing. You had a question, sir. So any other questions, please shoot them at me now. Go. Yeah.
Yeah, sort of touching the topic of let's say somebody calls the fire department and says there's a fire.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't say where it is.
Yeah.
That's how it feels with like issues. It's something that you didn't get the description of what to do, or
Yeah.
there's another department with it before, or there's a legal stuff that hasn't been decided by the department. How do we...
Can I change the question a little bit, and then maybe we'll come back here? So you're basically saying sometimes they ask us to start stuff that we cannot complete because it's not known what's happening. Is that better or worse for flow? Yeah. So we should not start work that will not flow. When do we get to know that we don't know everything? Again, I'm quoting Woody again, it's in doing the work that we discover the work that we need to do. So very, very often what happens is that we start to do work here and then we're like, this is, no one actually knows how this is supposed to behave. The best tool I know for this is something called Specification by example. It's a super simple tool, and it's basically this. Before you start something here, so let's say that we have a column in between here, you ask this, can you give me an example? Or you're even smarter and you say, so let's say that I have one, I don't know what you're doing. Let's say that there's only one user in the database, and he has this password, and he logs in using another password. What should happen? Now we're starting to talk about concrete examples, and in doing that, two things happen. The first thing, that we will very quickly discover what's not known. The second thing is that if we have everything down, we have excellent tests already. So it's a little bit like test-driven requirements development. So that's something that I'm not, remember my first, don't change everything at once, but here's one thing that we do. Once we get the requirement in here, we write the examples ourselves. And then we go to Mark and says, so Mark, this dodgy requirement that you send us, here's what we think should happen. You agree? Yes. No. Yes. Oh, and you should probably add this. Much better conversation. So now back to your question. If it's something that is... Oh, you mean that the blockage is that we don't know enough to continue?
It was sort of an example. I think more of the question is that we cannot solve it ourselves.
Yeah.
All of these different tools we have at our disposal, working to get better in the team, but when we get some external blockage, we don't really know what to do or we can't do.
Yeah, so at that point in time, I would track that somehow. So, for example, it might be something like this, flow efficiency. You can make a simplified version of flow efficiency. For example, for the entire time of 100 days, we were working on this issue for 2 days, and 98 days we were waiting for the requirements to be clarified. That's this issue. This other issue, it was 30, and we worked for 2. And now you have data, which is a much nicer conversation. So what I started to do, I actually sent the first report just before this meeting, was that I measured that column and that column. And I already know what they're going to say. They will say this, to do, don't care about to do, we just keep it in there for, thank you very much for slowing the whole process down and for making the requirements rot. If I write the requirement now and I put it here, would you want to pick that up in 6 months and just start coding it? No. If we have a backlog of and I've been here, 549 items, how long does it take to find the correct items we're talking about? I actually worked at a place, they have 549 items, and they had 3 people that managed that backlog, and they were super proud because it was in order. 186 was a little bit more important than 187. This was the same company where we spent 6 months for 8 people to implement Klarna as a payment provider. Not Klarna's fault, it was just our platform was crappy. When we were done, no one could say if it was good or bad. Because we didn't know why we did it. It was just like backlog item 36 complete. They were excited beyond belief, but no one knew why we did so. Did we get more customers, bigger customers, fewer orders? Why did we do this? We had no idea. So I would track data and bring that data to the conversation. And then you will say this is really hard for old school project people. You will say this doesn't look right. Is there anything we can do to help you? So the team I described, they had 46 items in UAT. They were responsible for UAT. So on our board, they had 46 items. So I said, we have in total 4 here, and then you have 46. Yeah, pick up another one, pick up another one. And then, no, that doesn't really feel correct. Is there something that we can do to help you? Yeah, you know what? If you ran these 4 tests that we are running for every UAT before it comes to UAT, it will be much better. Oh, good. Thank you. We can do that. Or if we have a meeting before we start to code and just discuss, is this worth spending our clock cycles on now, or should we wait until it's finalized? That would actually be good for flow. Then we'll keep the lead time down. Oh, good, thank you. They are interested in this. They just don't know how to frame the question because they are schooled. And this is so sad. I had a colleague that came, I drew this diagram. He was fresh out of business school in Stockholm. Any Stockholm Business School people here? Okay, good, we're fine. So he came fresh out of business school, and I drew this diagram, and he just went totally silent like this. He was like 20, 25. And he just went totally silent. And I said, what's the matter? I just spent 4 years doing that. This is what they've trained us in. I agree with you. I totally see the point, and I totally 100% agree with that we should focus here. But I just spent 4 years here. They train people to do this. That's what they do. Why? It's not because they are stupid. It's because that's much easier to measure. 40% in that project, 25% in that, and that's easy to follow up. If you ever want to stump an old school project manager, ask them this question. When they present the status of the project, ask them this: how much is done? How much?
So you're used to working in larger companies with many teams.
Yeah.
What can you do on an organizational level to improve flow?
Perfect. Thank you. Basically the same basic rules apply. So, for example, I work at Spotify now. They have something that they call company bets. They have 10 company bets, not 86. How long is a company bet, do you think?
What is a company bet? Is it a task? Or?
Perfect. A company bet is a cross-company project. Why do they, but that's a good question. Why do they call it a company bet?
Because they have no knowledge if it will succeed or not.
Exactly. And there's another thing. It's like, okay, so this is my bet. I'm betting that we should launch in Vatican Stat. Right? That's the thing. Okay, how much are you willing to bet? I'm betting the entire company 6 months. Whoa, careful now. Can't do that. We only have 10. So how about if you're betting, and then, so that's the reason they have a limit. What would happen with those bets if we said that there only were allowed 3 bets? Will they be longer or shorter? Smaller, right? They will be more well-defined, I promise you that. No one wants to bet the entire company working across all departments on things that we don't really know if it's value. So they will be smaller, they will be more well-prepared, and they will flow faster. What if it's only one? Well, that sounds a little bit dodgy, right, to me, actually, because then if that's not working out, no one has anything to do. That sounds strange. I wouldn't do strategy like that. So that's one way of applying these principles as well. Visualize principle works beautifully across OKRs, for example. OKRs is another place where you can limit the number. You don't have 25 OKRs, you have 3 for a quarter, meaning that we're focusing on this. But I think that the biggest kick for all of that is actually this same kind of reasoning, meaning that whatever we do, we improve flow of things. Because we have a multi-team setup, then that means that we will have dependencies. Are those dependencies helping us to flow faster or slowing us down? There's a very old article from 1968 by a man called Mel Conway. It's called Conway's Law. Who's heard about that? Okay, perfect.
I saw the guy on stage on a conference last week.
Oh, I can trump that.
You know him?
No, almost. So here's the thing. About 1 month ago, I was speaking at the Mob Programming Conference in Boston. And I mentioned Conway's Law in my speech. And then a little lady raised her hand and she said, I know Mel. Oh, really? Cool. Yeah, he lives there. And she pointed on a house that was like 400 meters from where we were. So, and I was like, yeah. So Conway's Law basically said, you are doomed or destined to produce code as your organization is shaped. So we are using this. This is a law from the scientific sense. It means that you can't escape it. This will happen. That's his observation, right? So it's a little bit. I mean, we don't know with 100% certainty that it will happen, but he stated that. So for a very long time in my life, I thought like, oh damn, now that will happen. How can I get out of it? Like. Stuff like that. How we need to fight that, and we need to. No, we can use that to our advantage. So we have teams in my department at Spotify right now that they had a problem because everything that they did touched all parts of the systems, and no part of the system could be optimized for their thing. So they did the reverse Conway, and they organized in 3 shapes. One called input, one called compute, and another called output. That's the name of the 3 teams. What kind of systems will they build? They will have input components, they will have compute components, they will have output components. So that's how you use Conway's Law. That's what he meant. It's not like try to escape Conway's Law. You will never win. You can fight it. It will be painful. And you will never win. But you can also use that to your advantage and try to like shape your way. So that's another consideration. But basically, if you look behind what his reasoning is, it's about this. Right? So if we optimize our way for flow, then we will build systems that is actually that doesn't end up blocking us in this way. And there's so many things that we have done throughout history in our profession that has to do with flow. Continuous delivery, TDD, pair programming, mob programming, microservices. You basically just pick anything, and if you think about it, it's about moving faster. It's about moving more independently. So, from an organizational perspective, like how can we set ourselves up so that we can move more independently? And then someone say, why? Because that will improve flow. You said something about the PM not being readily available for us. Okay, so that slows down flow. What can we do to improve flow? one of the best places I've seen that worked best was I was working for Spotify about 4 years ago as well. At that point in time, they were mind-blowingly good at this. Each squad had their own PO, and he owned that area. So I was working at that point in time with the payment squad. There was a much smaller company, only 400 people. And Patrick, the payment squad leader, he owned payments. So I still remember the morning meetings, the stand-ups. He was like, okay, so I really want us to get started on having MasterCard as the payment provider. And they said, yeah, but we have this bug in Thailand, I think it was. And he said, so he did this many times. He said, how many people? It's like 1,000 people every month. Okay, free premium, do MasterCard. So he decided that in that area, he had to adhere to the whole ecosystem of the Spotify organization. So he didn't make up these decisions like this, but he decided for them. So they had excellent flow in that squad. That model might not be suitable for everyone. And by the way, Spotify is not doing the Spotify model, if you ever thought that.
Not anymore.
No, they did that for a short period in time. So, but they never said that they did that either. So that's what other people said. I was 1 week in China last autumn, and I was doing consultancy for Huawei. 70,000 developers. They wanted to implement the Spotify model because they read that article. So I said, yeah, it broke down for them when they were about 500 people in the entire company, and now you're talking about 70,000 developers across the whole organization. That's only developers, by the way, because I asked them about testing, and they said, oh, don't worry about that. We have 1 tester per 2 developers. So 70,000 developers and 35,000 testers. Yeah.
I have one question.
Go.
So I know Spotify is really distributed. We have office in Stockholm and New York. I don't know if there's other offices, but
many.
In Schibsted we have 3 dominant offices, and we have very relaxed rules, so you can work from home. So any day you may actually, if you want to do more programming, you may end up working with 5 or 6 VCs if that happens.
Yeah.
What's your experience, or what's your observation in how distributed teams, their way of working will affect flow?
Yeah, so I've seen all kinds of ways of doing that and results. So, but I think what I'm after here is actually on a level below, because that's just where we are right now, right? So we would just argue, okay, so we have a distributed team. Let's make something extreme. We never meet. GitHub.com. They are built distributed because their 4 founders, they were not on the same continents. They only met like twice before they started their company, I think. Sorry? Yeah, exactly. Okay, so is that hurting our flow? No, it works fine because that's how we divide up our work. So yeah, you're in charge of the website. Go ahead, knock yourself. If that's okay, or nowadays the tooling around working together remotely is pretty good, actually. That might be quite all right.
I would say it's the most literal interpretation of start where you are.
Yeah, exactly. No, so you can't really say like, yeah, this will hurt us or this will work fine. What you should do, though, is ensure that it's a never-ending improvement journey, right? So if your stuff takes 1 day to complete now, okay, then I would say, well done, can you do it in half a day? If it takes half a day, I can say, well done, can you do it in an hour? If it takes an hour, see, we always try to make it faster. Why? Not because I want you to go faster, I want more opportunities to redecide. More opportunities to learn faster. Amazon.com, 2007, so almost 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago, they were deploying every 12 seconds on Amazon.com. Why? Because they could? No, because they wanted to learn faster. So imagine how many times they are deploying today, right? I mean, now Mark Zuckerberg even said that in Senate, I think, right, where he said that at any given time, we are participating in up to 50 experiments on Facebook.com. If you log into Facebook.com, you're part of 50 experiments. Why? Because they want to learn faster. So, bringing it back, because now I've done this all physically, right? And I mean, there's many obstacles here, so you can't make it look like this, and you should not. You should start where you are, with the context that you are in, with the constraints that you have, and try to improve flow from there. Make sense?
Yeah, my observation is that tooling is extremely important.
Yeah.
And the other one is that it's usually stronger with people who work in things.
Yeah.
So you have to have like multiple location and stuff like that. That takes time also while you are in the tree. Extensive, so it should really worth doing it that way.
Yeah. So I totally agree with you. I think for me personally, I've seen the best results when you are co-located, and when you have physical stuff that's easy to change. I've seen much better result with that than. Have you ever said? Are you using Jira?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever said this? We should really have another column here. Oh, you can't do that because the workflow is hindering us from. Yeah. Or no, yeah, you can't move that there. It's not you're not logged in on this board. Have you ever said stuff like that? No. Yeah, no. Well, let me show you my Jira, sir. I hear that every morning. So there's actually a little picture of me with a speech bubble because I said that so many times now, so the team hates me. I said this. I've never seen a whiteboard that hinders me from do that. Right? So because I want this. You know what? That should be 2 columns. It should be like this here, and it should follow around, and then, no, by the way, this should be a little bubble on its own. I want us to be totally free in how we design this in order to make it good for us right now. So the tool should not drive you. You should not be used by the tool. The tool, you should use the tool, right? It's like picking up a chainsaw and it's like, yeah, but it doesn't work on brown trees. That would be strange. But I totally, to your observations, I think that's also actually related to flow, because as we said, you should not say that. Now I don't dare speak mob programming in this room. So mob programming is a really good example because it's so extreme. But when people say that you can't do that, that's not effective. Yeah, no, not if you're counting typing. But we're not typing, we're solving problems. If you're solving problems, then there's a whole other kind of chemistry that you want. If we're solving problems, I want a creative space, I want closeness, I want to be able to speak to you. And now we need tooling for that. That's my take on it. So if you can get that on by being remote, hey. So very often, for example, why did we start outsourcing, do you think? Let's take another extreme. Why did I give Rudolf the pen?
Because I only got half the weight is the other guy.
Yeah, exactly. Where are we focusing now? Here. There's nothing bad with outsourcing. I can see many scenarios where you can outsource stuff that would improve flow. But most of the time we've done that in order to lower the costs or have more people for the same kind of money. That's not solving the flow problem. Yeah.
One last, sorry, maybe kind of mundane. Or do we have?
No, go. I cannot imagine it being mundane. Yeah, we have time.
That's somewhat mundane. So, why the hating on the blocked column? I want to understand. Because there are worse things, right? You could have things that are invisibly blocked. They're just in progress. Nobody knows why it's in progress.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing your taking on the block column is that it kind of, when you're doing your daily kind of review of what's preventing an item from being done, like having that column is like, yeah, let's not worry about that column. Okay.
That's part of
That's
it.
why you want to kind of have them, yeah.
I'll send Mark, I've written a blog post about this. I'll send Mark the blog post, but you're onto something there. The other thing that I've seen is that people, we move stuff from where it's blocked to the blocked column. Sometimes I've seen a parking lot here, or you have, so now we took it out of context. So where was it? It was blocked in progress. So for example, if let's say that we have, I get really creative here, sorry about that. Let's say that we have a whip limit on this column here to 4. This is now part of the whip limit. I want this. Is it still blocked? Is it still blocked? I want that. Because the goal is to resolve the blockage. The blockage is not normality.
You increase the pain by doing it.
Yeah, exactly. You now you understand what kind of person I am, right? Yeah.
You also said something earlier that having a block column was like setting it through the process, and that's another reason not to have it.
No, exactly. It's a little bit, I wouldn't say lazy, but it's like, yeah, this is how it is. Yeah. For me, it's like, yeah, we do this, then it's blocked, and then we do this, then it's blocked. No, why? It should be, I want that. So that's why. But you'll read all of this in the blog post. Okay?
One last question.
Yes?
How do you run retros when you manage your flow? What do you focus on?
Oof. What a nice. I once passed a board in the Spotify office, and it was very surprising to me. Oh, maybe this is out of context. Let's see. I'll try. It said this.
So every 25 done.
What do you think they were doing? Let me add something. It looked like this. So here's the reasoning. So that 24, 25, 20. Oh no! Hey, product owner, we need a muffin, otherwise we cannot stop. We cannot continue. So now they built celebration into their process. Every 25 items, we would stop and have a little celebration. Yay, 25 items. And they did a retrospective. So now they pulled retrospectives out of the process.
And then they look at cycle times.
So what we focus on in our retrospectives when you have a flow-based approach is basically stuff that's hindering flow, right? How many blockers did we have? Why did that? Is there anything we can do here to unblock it? But also softer things like what felt like it was slowing us down this time. Every time we go into this area, it's slower. If you're using, who was using Trello? Yeah, so there's a great little tool called, it's quite large actually, called Actionable Agile that you can hook up to Trello to get loads of flow-based metrics out of it. You can hook it up to Jira as well.
It almost makes it as good as Jira, right? All these browser extensions to Trello to make it almost like Jira.
Yeah. No, so let me stump that. Trello is not a Kanban, it's not a great tool for Kanban work. There's no whip limits. There's very limited functionalities of designing. You can't do swim lanes. So it's not awesome. It works, but it's not awesome. The best kind of tool I could imagine would be a whiteboard. I was actually with a friend. We got so angry with Jira, so we started to design a tool. If everyone wants to join us, please do. That we call Jura. Which is basically, here's a canvas. We will import all the Jira tickets that you give us, and you can position them wherever you want on the board. Done. That's the whole tool. It would be pretty good, right? Yeah. Question, sir?
What tool would you recommend for distributed teams that is not Trello or probably Jira?
There's other tools that has been working closer to people in the agile community, I would say. Some of the things that I see in Jira is blowing my mind how that company can be called an agile company. Because they show some fundamental misconceptions. There's one tool called Lean Kit Kanban that is pretty good. And there's another called Kanbanize, which is also pretty good if we're talking about flow-based approach. Right? Other than that, if you're stuck with... So here's what I do if I'm stuck with Jira, which I am in many cases. I keep Jira as a repository for documentation, and then I do a physical board for the status. And then I have a little reference like that on the sticky, because a physical board sucks in remembering what we said and having documentation and attach screenshots and do analyzing. So I keep a very, very simplified flow, the simplest I can get away with in Jira, and then I do a physical board like this. That's it.
That can be difficult to distribute.
Yeah, that is hard.
That's what we have been.
Although I have to say, and this is back to your point. I mean, I don't want to decide this. I have no authority in most places where I am. They don't dare let me loose on that. So I met teams that was totally co-located that chose electronic tool, and I met teams that was very distributed that choose a physical tool. So one of the best examples I know was that they had a product owner in Germany. He never came to Sweden. And we just sent a photo to him every... Oh.
The sticky fell down. That's why I hate sticky boards.
Yeah. Oh, so now I can stop with my favorite part of the lecture. So let me just wrap that. So in that case, the product owner was in Germany. We sent him a photo every morning of the board, before and after the... We even mounted a camera in top so we could like just do that. It worked for him. Let's end with this. How do you tear off a sticky? I know why that came down.
I know how not to do it. Just to pull it.
If you do this, oh, the horror. Now, see, it's curled, and you don't maximize the glue surface here. So you want to do it like this, so it's nice and straight.
Oh, the side.
So now, yeah, there's many ways, sir. I used the one hand to the right technique. I just pull it like that. But that doesn't work for those big things, because then it starts to curl on that. Yeah, so another thing you can do, and I've also seen this. This is very nifty, to pick it from the bottom instead, and you get away. Yeah, that's. I'm a certified 3M Post-it coach. Okay.
I've got a question. Hope it's not too big. But if you're in a team that doesn't do medium stories, you have small stuff and large stuff, and the product owner is worried about you working too much on the large stuff and lots of small stuff.
What do you get when you split the large?
Split that.
If you have a large story like this, and I say, can you split this into smaller pieces? What do you get typically?
Yeah, you get slices.
Two large. Sometimes 3 large. Why? The bigger the thing, the more uncertainty. So I would say, very often when we do this, we say that's an M, not an S. We don't accept large. Meaning that the stuff that goes in the to-do column here is stuff that the team has estimated to medium or smaller. If it's large, let's have a chat about it and split it down until it becomes a medium. And that's not very seldom, it's splitting the story up into large. And it's, again, back to flow, because if I put a large in here, it will take forever to flow. And that's risky. If you want to speak to higher level management about stuff like this, only use terms of risk management. This is risk management. That's what it is. If you put a big thing in here, you put all your baskets in the one all your eggs in the same basket. If you put many smaller, then everyone is carrying half an egg.
That was kind of the answer that I hoped for. So
yeah.
I'm good now.
Okay. Woo. So thank you so much for listening. Have a nice day, and I hope you found this useful.
Thanks.
Thanks.